Once again, welcome back. My name is Rainey Bastarash, and we're going to start now on a segment called Preparation, Technical Issues, and Procedures for the telephone hypnosis. Now, we've been talking about a lot of things as we've been going so far, and I realize we've actually, some of these technical issues we've already gone over, but this is the section where we're supposed to talk about it, so we're going to go right through it for those people that are going to be watching this later on, so when they go to this section, they'll be able to find what it is they're looking for, okay? So let's go ahead and get started with this, and welcome everybody for being back. So preparing for your pre-call interview, that's the first thing. People are going to look at your website. They're going to see whether they want to deal with you or not. If they decide they do, most of them, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to call you. So you need to find out what it is they want. This is just like a regular pre-call session when somebody calls you in your own office for a sit-in type session. So what do they want? You have your menu. So you need to find out all the different things that the things that they're interested in. Once you find a topic, discuss it a little bit with them. Again, you don't want to keep them on the phone too much. We don't want to make this a session before the session. What are their expectations? I think it's important to find that, especially since it's telephone. I don't think people realize that on the telephone they're actually going to be treated like they would in an office. So find out their expectations and straighten them out if they're not exactly where they should be at. So again, smoking, for instance. Smoking is probably the #1 thing that people deal with. What are their expectations? Well, there's a lot of different ways of handling smoking. Do they want to quit right now? Do they want to do a weaning session, kind of like a withdrawal session, where they're going to see you for, let's say, 4 or 5 weeks or even more, depending on how much they're smoking, where they're going to wean themselves off. So it's important for you to know their expectations, so that way when you actually call them for the session, you're on the same page. I don't like this thing, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of different practitioners or heard the horror stories where a client went to see someone and they expected something and they got there and it wasn't at all what they expected. We had one of our graduates, hypnosis school graduates, tell us that she set up an appointment with this gentleman. Actually, it was a series of appointments. I think she had to pay in advance for weight loss. I can't remember how many sessions it was, but it was basically $1,800 she paid in advance for a whole group of live sessions with this gentleman. And when she actually got to his office, he put her in a room, put a headset on her, and she was going to be listening to a bunch of tapes, audio tapes, this whole time. She was not happy. Okay, so her expectations were not the same as what his were. So it's important that people are on the same page as you. Have they been hypnotized before? Important to realize. Have they been hypnotized? We have actually, in the manual, there's actually like a pre-call interview form that you can use. It'll ask a lot of these questions. Have they been hypnotized before? Who were they hypnotized by? How did it work? Get some information. Again, information is very important in this field because the more you know about their success or lack of success the last time, the better you'll be able to do this time, not running into the same thing. Who will be conducting the session? Okay, are you conducting the session? Is it going to be a bait and switch thing where they think it's going to be you and they call and it's someone else? That's one of the reasons why I think it's very important to have your picture on your webpage. One of my dear friends and colleagues in hypnosis, I got to tell this story. He's a Caucasian male, very tall. He's probably like, close to almost 7 feet tall. Wears a cowboy hat, okay? He's a southern boy, cowboy. And on his webpage, he has pictures. You know how you can get those nice pictures when you go online trying to find pictures to put on your website? Well, he has some pictures of doctors and professional scenes on his webpage, or did have. We spoke about it, okay? And one of them happens to be a very young, handsome, average-sized African-American man. Now, someone seeing that picture, picturing that this young man appears to be a doctor, African-American, you come to his door and you knock on the door, and the 7-foot-tall Caucasian cowboy comes to the door, there's going to be a little shock factor, okay? So it's important to have the picture of what it's going to be, or again, on the telephone, it doesn't matter so much, but if you're a man and a woman answers the phone or the other way around, they might not be happy with it. They might really, like your video and the way you sound, and the person answering the phone that does the session has a real screechy voice and doesn't sound anything like that. So we want to make sure that whoever's conducting the session is going to be the same person, or they know who it's going to be. All right. How many sessions will they need? Just by a show of responses here, what's the average amount of sessions that you folks are doing right now with a client? Client comes in, let's say for something simple like public speaking or smoking or something like that. What's the average amount of sessions that you're doing? Go ahead and let's see what everybody's doing there. 1 session, 2 sessions, 20. Okay, 5 sessions, Linda says. Great. What else we got? Come on, don't be bashful. I want to see what y'all doing. No right or wrong. If it's a bad answer, I won't mention your name. Probably won't. Okay. Rachel says 4 session. Come on, I know more of you are doing sessions there. What's the average amount of sessions that you do with a client? Okay, 5 sessions, 4. And that's usually myself. I do a minimum of 4 sessions. It's kind of interesting to know that. When I first started out in hypnosis myself, for the first 2 years, I was doing 1 session. 1 session, stop and shop type thing, okay? Why? Well, the place where I learned hypnosis, where they taught me, it was 1 session, and you usually do what you're taught. Then I went to a train-the-trainer school, to be an instructor, and there was about probably 15, 20 people in class, and the instructor said, how many of you are doing less than 4 sessions? Well, only 2 of us out of, let's say, 20 people raised their hands. And me and this other guy were both doing 1 session. Then it was 4 sessions. That was like the norm. Then 5 sessions. We had some that were doing 7 and 10. And like the instructor said, he says, if you're only doing 1 session, you're really missing the boat. You're not doing enough for the client. Again, it takes a while to build repetition. But, so then I started doing 4 sessions. And again, it was better for the client and obviously more income for me. Well, I guess somebody else here start with 5 sessions, Gary, and depending on what I'm working on. That's right. Because, again, a smoking withdrawal program, what we do is we tell people it's 1 week per 5 cigarettes. So if somebody smokes 1 pack, 20 cigarettes, they're there for 4 weeks. If they smoke 2 packs, they're there for 8 weeks. And in my career, I've had 2 people that actually smoked 4 packs a day. And imagine that, 4 packs a day. Wow. I can imagine him with 3 cigarettes in his mouth at once. That's a real chain smoker. But that's a lot of sessions. So, again, find out how many sessions they need and let them know. I like to let them know in the pre-call interview how many sessions they're going to be coming and see me for. Now, for smoking, there's a withdrawal program. There's a 4-week quit now and maintain program, and then there's the one-stop shop. I don't like to do those, but we're a business and everyone else is doing them. So I try to give them the withdrawal program first because that is the most successful. Then I offer the 4-week if they don't want to do that, where they want to stop now, and I really shy away from the 1 week. And if I do the 1 week, I give them a maintenance CD to listen to. Very important to do. So they need to know that. You don't want to swap it when they get into on the phone or into an office. Okay. Oops. We just did how many sessions will they need. Where should they sit? This is some of the things that people can ask me. Where should you sit? Should you sit in a recliner? Should you sit in one of those fancy chairs or something that looks like a poodle? Okay. I just had to put that picture on there. I don't know if you should sit on it or use it as a piece of art. But where should they sit? I usually tell people sit anywhere you like as long as it supports your neck and your head. If they're sitting in a straight chair, they might want to get some kind of a pillow, put it against the wall, unless they're really good at balancing their head there. But it's kind of hard to do a session like that. I've done a lot of groups where they all sit in chairs like that. Should they lie down in bed? I prefer that they don't lie down in bed because what if they fall asleep? Chances are a lot stronger they're going to fall asleep in bed or on, some kind of some people have like massage tables or whatever. I like to have them sitting up. Even if they don't have a recliner, you can make a recliner with a lot of things. If somebody wants to sit on the bed, maybe they can lean against the wall. The thing is they're more likely to fall asleep on the phone than in a regular office because they're comfortable in their own home. So you want to keep them from falling asleep. So sitting up is better. Sitting on a couch, there's a lot of options, but just support their neck and their head. Whether the feet are up or not, it doesn't really matter so much. Pets. What if they have pets? Okay. The darling little pets. They can be a big problem in hypnosis. Okay, if they have pets, looking at this picture, other than the goldfish, I'd probably get everything else outside the room. Okay, well, I don't know why they'd have a chicken in the house anyway, but some people do. Chicks, I know in Friends they had a chicken and a duck, but you need to get pets outside of the room, especially dogs and cats. One thing, I don't know how much you know about the brainwave states, but when we teach brainwave states on our hypnosis course, we talk about the different levels. As humans, we spend most of our times primarily in the beta brainwave state. Right now, most of you are in beta, which is your learning state, your active state, studying, math. So if you're listening to me, you're probably in beta, and me speaking to you, I'm in beta also. But animals spend their life primarily in the alpha brainwave state. Where's alpha? Well, if you close your eyes and took a deep breath and relax in the chair, you're pretty much an alpha. Just closing your eyes blocks out 80% of beta activity and brings you to alpha, which is where most animals live, spend most of their time dominantly. That's why if you have a dog or a cat that's next to you and all relaxed and you're working on the computer and you're in beta, they'll try to stop you. They might even bite you, because they get aggravated that you're busy. They don't understand beta. So what I'm getting at is when you relax and go into a chair, you immediately, when you close your eyes, you immediately go into the alpha brainwave state, which is the animal state. And what I found in my own experience and with clients is that if there's an animal in the house and you go into alpha, they pick up on it like radar. First thing you know, they're right on top of you, okay? I mean, I had a house when I was living in Springvale. It was a 4-story house. It was a single house, but, with the basement, it's 4 stories. The dog could be in the top, and I could be on the first story of my office. If I went into hypnosis, I opened my eyes, and he was sitting on top of me. He found me, came all the way down, got on me so softly that I didn't even notice it. It's like, wow, Dad could finally understand me. Yeah, my dog called me Dad. But he's like, wow, Dad could finally understand me, and he'd be sitting on me, okay? Now, some dogs aren't as gentle getting on you. And what if the guy has a Saint Bernard or a Great Dane, okay? They can't do anything gentle. So they might just get right on the person. Okay, well, what's the question here? Okay, isn't a problem if they're relaxing and I'm asking them to use Skype or video? Yeah, with video you can see them. You can watch them. It might be obvious, but yeah, good. Yeah, and that's right. With a video, with Skype or the other program I'm going to be talking about shortly, you can see them. All except for maybe that little lizard. They could sneak in there without being caught. Okay, but yeah, get animals out of the room. A lot of people say, "Oh, nothing will happen," and that's always the one it does. So, even right now as we're speaking, all our animals, our horses, our cows, our cat, our orangutans, and our camel are all in the other room, so they don't bother us. You didn't know about the camel. Okay. So just give me the eyeball over here. We don't have a goldfish, though. So keep the animals out of the room. Very important. You need to ensure uninterrupted time. So this is one of the precautions in a pre-call. You need to let them know that they need to have this 30 minutes or whatever you're talking about, 45 minutes, uninterrupted. What are interruptions that they can run into? Well, mom has an appointment with you at 8:45 and your appointment starts at 8:30. She's going to come bursting in, wondering what you're doing, sitting in the chair with your eyes closed, and some guy talking to you, or some woman talking to you over the phone in a soothing voice. She's going to wonder, hey, this guy's kind of weird, You don't want people barging in. You don't want the alarm clock to go off because you have an appointment somewhere. What else can happen? Beepers going off. Make sure all the electronics are turned off that can make noise except for the phone you're using or the computer. I'm trying to think of what else could interrupt the session. Neighbors, animals. In Reluca's case, pizza guy, she had that happen right in the middle of the session. Ding dong, pizza delivery. So ask the guys, do they have any deliveries coming in the middle of the session? Okay.
But I didn't order the pizza.
It was a neighbor place, and so yeah. So you usually tell the person, take a deep breath, count from 100 down to 1. With every number you say, take a deep breath between until I come right back and tell the guy to stop ringing your doorbell. Nice thing about it, the client she had was so deeply relaxed that when she apologized at the end of the session, he didn't remember it happening. So he went into the amnesia state, and was no problem. So ensure uninterrupted quiet. No one else may be in the room. That's kind of a rule for me whether I'm doing phone or individual sessions. Nothing worse than trying to hypnotize, husband or wife, or husband or wife, and having the other one there. Half the times, the wife's problem may be the husband or the other way around. Or trying to hypnotize a child for behavioral issues and the mother's standing over the child. It's not going to work very well. So with hypnosis, the same thing. Nobody else in the room, unless you're doing group hypnosis. You might be doing, a past life regression group or something else. But if you know about it, that's different, okay? And yeah, some people are going to try to have somebody stay in the room so they could do a 2-for-1 deal without you knowing about it, Again, like Karen said, when you have the video, you can see that. So those are some of the advantages of a video over just a telephone, The man swears he's alone, but you hear a woman's voice, What are you, an impersonator? So no one else in the room. Tell them how to make payments. Very important. When you're on that pre-call, okay, they need to make the payment. Oops, we're looking at this. I skipped one. It looks like I wrote 2 there. We'll get to that one in a minute. Number 10, be sure to get their callback number. Even though you're calling them, or let's say they called you, whichever the case, if they called you, you might not have the callback number, but if there's a disconnect, you need to be able to call them. If you call them, you already have that. So make sure you know how to get back in touch with them should there be a disconnection. And number 11, tell them how to make payment. Again, like we did before when we were on, and for those people who didn't see that because they might have gotten bumped off before, how do you make payment? And again, if you're talking on Skype or something like that, you can probably even use the computer, but tell them what your webpage is, which they probably were on it already. So hypnosissessions.com, that's the page you came to me on. And if you go all the way to the bottom of the page, you're going to see a payment button. Click on the Buy Now button and make your payment there. Now, some people might say, I want to do an appointment right away. I want to see the payment in my account. I usually like to see, if it's my choice when we're going to set it up, I like to set it up at least 2 days away, maybe 3 or 4. This way, again, I like to see 48 hours at least when they made the payment, and 24 hours for sure. I want to make sure the payment's in there, and they don't take stop it or change payment just before you start your session. So far, doing it this way, knock on wood. This is wood, by the way. We have not had a problem with that at all. I don't think you've had a problem with anybody paying yet. Reluca?
No, I didn't have. I'm sorry, I didn't have a problem with anyone paying, not paying. I usually like to send them a reminder too before they have the next session, so that they'll know that they need to make their payment and to take time off to be there.
Good. Okay, let's see. So that's how to make the payment. Now, the next one. Homework. Now that you've spoken to your client, you know what they want, you know what to expect, and they know what to expect. You know their past experiences with hypnosis. They know how many sessions there's going to be, so there'll be no surprises. Okay, so now it's your time to get ready. You have plenty of time to choose the best session, make your plan of attack, and you're ready for the call. Be ready for the sessions. Now, I know a little while ago we had someone ask, I don't remember exactly who it was, but should we do an analytical or a non-analytical session? I'm going to show you the way we do it, but again, you're welcome to do this any way you like. You know, you can use a format and still do the same sessions you're comfortable with, especially if you're using, like Karen mentioned, she's using Skype. So if you're using Skype, you can do the old-fashioned kind of hypnosis where you would test them, and if they're analytical, do an analytical session, and non-analytical, do that. Okay, so if you're going to do that, just like a regular session, prepare everything and have the 2 stacks ready, a stack of non-analytical scripts and everything you need for an analytical session. Now, when you have the person on Skype and you do a suggestibility test to find out how his mind works, you know which one you need to go after, analytical or non. With the process I'm going to show you in a little while, actually, I'm not sure, I think we'll go through that, yeah, the program after this one here, and the pre-session, we'll show you exactly how we do it. Which you're not going to need that, but again, if you're watching them, if you have video, why not, okay? So make your plan of attack, prepare the scripts. You have a couple days to get everything ready, so there's no reason why you shouldn't be ready. If you don't have the right kind of script, write one, make another one, look it up. You'll be able to find there's plenty of scripts out there. So technical things, once again, different things you can do. Someone was, actually Karen was saying she uses Skype. Another alternative to that is using Uvu. Has anybody used Uvu? Go ahead and give me a yay if you've had any experience with Uvu in comparison to Skype. Uvu is OOVOO.com. Okay, great program. Raluca still uses Skype just because she's been using it for so long. You get comfortable with it. Uvu is a program kind of like Skype. You can actually talk up to 10 people. Excuse me. You can actually talk up to 10 people at once on Uvu. Now, we got a nope, never heard of Uvu. Okay, I don't know how long they've been around. I only found out about them probably about 6 months ago myself.
Yeah, I think they're fairly new.
Fairly new? Okay. So, like you could talk to 10 people at once. Oh, actually, you can have 10 people. Was it 10 or 12?
I think it's 10.
10 people, but figure 1 being you. Now, you see the picture, I believe, on the right is the Uvu.
Yeah, that's Uvu.
Yeah, and there's 2 people there. So you would have 2. If you had 3, you could have it slanted on the sides and a solid person in the middle. There's so many, the person that's running it, the host, can move that around so many different ways, You could have just the person you're hypnotizing the full screen, and you could have yourself in a little, kind of like the one on the left with a little box like that, or you can have yourself not there at all so you can just watch them. You can have it tilted, you can have it straight. There's, it's a lot of fun, some of the things you can do with it. Now, Skype was the only game for a long time until Uvu just made some changes about 2 months ago. I actually wrote to them and asked them if there was a way of ensuring that people don't come into it, because yeah, a lot of these sites like Skype and Uvu are places where a lot of kids get on and talk to their friends. And kind of like Yahoo Messenger, if you have Yahoo Messenger on, everybody under the sun wants to pop in and talk to you. Hey, who are you? They think even when you're working, you're in a chat room or something. Uvu used to be like that too. You'd be working on it, or maybe talking with someone or having a conference, and somebody would just come in. Hey, you want to chat? So there are privacy settings now. I think they just put that up in the last month or two, where you can actually bump somebody off or keep the room private. Because that would be terrible doing a session. All of a sudden people come in and start chatting with you. Hey, why does that guy got his eyes closed? Oh, he looks funny. That could leave a scar on your client, okay? So check it out. They do have, actually, I think it's free. And if you want to do the paid version, which it's like $24 a year or something, the nice thing about the paid version is there's no commercials on it. When I say commercials, it doesn't have their logo and this kind of thing, so it looks like your business. What I like about it is the picture quality and the sound quality seems, from what I've seen, seems to be so much better than the Skype program. And doing searches online, I'm hearing the same thing from people on YouTube and different places where they give reviews. They all like the program a lot better as for sound quality. And if you want to get into doing the groups that we're going to be talking about a little later on, you want to get into doing the groups, Uvu would be good for doing groups because you can see them all. Good question, Karen. Can the people see each other on Uvu? Yes, they can. Matter of fact, if you want to do some kind of a training, let's say if you have a Reiki class or something like that, I've been considering doing this with hypnosis, is you can actually be training somebody. Like if I was doing a hypnosis class, I can talk to one person in, let's say, Hong Kong and have him hypnotize somebody in Philadelphia, and I could watch both of them hypnotizing each other and interacting, and everyone can see each other. But like I said, up to 10 people. So it's a pretty neat program. I'm not sure if does Skype do that? Can other people see each other? If you had about 5 or 10 people on there?
I think they can.
You can, yeah. But it's a pretty neat system.
You're selling me on Uvu now. I want to try.
So Luca he hasn't been dealing with it. But there's some technical issues. Matter of fact, we've done it a few weeks ago. I did it on my live broadcasting, my Tuesday night live broadcasting, where I actually had Uvu going on the left and my broadcasting going on the right, and I was kind of videotaping the Uvu so everybody on the live streaming could see it. And when people signed in, some people looked beautiful and you could hear them great. Other people had mic problems, so you're going to want to make sure that they have a decent mic, you know. A lot of these computer mics just don't seem to cut it. Linda says Skype allows multiple people, but only with the paid version. Good point. Good. Okay, so that's Uvu. Now, other issues, equipment. I was telling you I use my iPhone. I use that for pretty much everything, you know. But the iPhone, I find that I guess they call that the Bud earphone that comes with it, seems to be the best kind of headset to use from what I've seen. You want to have them use some kind of a headset. I don't like to have speakers. You know, just having them listen to the speaker of the computer. I like to have them wear some kind of headset, so when they're relaxed in the chair, especially since I'm using a phone and not a, you know, computer screen where I can't see them. When they're relaxed in their chair, if you look at that little Bud thing, the one, let's say the one all the way, which one is it? Yeah, you see it. You see the Bud going around the black iPhone. Right on top of the iPhone is a little triangle thing. I believe that's where the mic is, isn't it?
No, that's the mic right there.
Oops. I'm sorry, the mic. Reluka has one on right now. Here I am trying to look on the picture, and she's wearing one. Okay. But anyway, she has one on right now. Actually, it's on the wire, looking at her on the right Bud. So about where the earbud is, it's about maybe 6 inches down. That's what that long thing is. I'm sorry. Yeah, so that long thing, you can see the little speaker. That thing has wonderful sound quality. Matter of fact, I've even done recordings, CD recordings or MP3 recordings of sessions using that Bud. I've done a couple podcasts, and I think pretty much half of our home study course for the hypnosis training was done on that. So very good quality sound on it.
Yes, for some reason it's extremely sensitive, and so I could hear the other person breathing. So it's I love using this one.
And that's one of the nicest things about it. If you can't see them, you know they're in the room because you could hear them breathing. You know, if you hear them snoring, that might help you too. But having it so close to the mouth, you can hear it breathing. But if it's on a speakerphone or if it's just on the computer, you might not hear them from across the room.
And sometimes I say, "Hey, Bob, if you can hear me, just say slowly yes for me," or and they be like, and I could hear that. Yeah,
across the room you might not hear that. You might go, "What'd you say?" "A little louder, Bob. A little louder, Bob." He was like, "Quit yelling at me." Okay, so you can see there's different options. I tried to get a Bud that was similar to that in the middle, and on the right you got the regular headsets. The nice thing about a headset like that, it covers your whole ears. It's kind of comfortable. You don't have to worry about it falling out of your ear. So there are different options, but like I said, I prefer them wearing a headset to not wearing one.
So I'm wearing one, and they're wearing one. It's a requirement that I have them wearing one of these headsets when we're doing the session. And another reason is because while putting your headset on, you're not going to hear the noise around you. So that's another plus for wearing a headset.
See, Linda, you are asking, does Uvu allow screen sharing to show your desktop? I really don't know.
I thought you did something like that.
I've done it with the webinars and everything, but yeah, we're always looking at different programs that do screen sharing and not. Uvu, I've just started using recently, mostly for training where I'm speaking. I'd like to say yes, I think they do, but I'm not sure because it's a lot of, they have a lot of features on there, but I'm pretty sure they do. If you like, Linda, if you'd send me an email sometime reminding me about that, I probably won't do it today or tomorrow because we're so busy with this, but I will look it up and find, and get back to you on it. Or just go to uvu.com.
Yes, they say they do. Uvu adds screen sharing and free conference calling. So yes, they do.
You hear that? Raluca's the fastest fingers in the West. As I was talking to you, she already got onto Uvu and found out. Yes, they do have screen sharing. So now I don't have to type you the letter, or you can still say hi anyway. And everybody else listening all knows too. Okay. There we go. And she said, thanks, Raluca. All right. Moving on here. Bathroom breaks. Oh, God. No, I'm not telling you all to take a bathroom break. Stay right here. We're not up to that yet. But it's important that the people do have the bathroom break before the session. I like to put it in the web page so they know, before the session, or talk to them, in the pre-session about it. But the thing is, if you bring up a bathroom break during the session, they're going to want to take one because you gave them the suggestion that they should probably go to the bathroom. And if they don't, they put it off. A lot of times during the session, they'll be thinking about it, and they'll have to go even more, so it can kind of ruin your session. So, you might want to put that in the web page or talk to them in the pre-session, make sure they've gone before, so that way you don't have to worry about it. Safety issues. So what kind of safety issues do we have with hypnosis? Getting electrocuted? No, actually that wouldn't happen. But basically, just like with a regular session, there is really nothing dangerous about hypnosis. I mean, hypnosis is just relaxing. You want to have them sitting in a comfortable chair, that they're not going to fall out of. And again, with a video, you can make sure that's going to happen, but I have to take their word for it that they're not going to fall off. But I thought you said you had something there. Okay, but really, there's no safety issues. Make sure if they're going to have a headset or something, try to get something that's not going to fall out, so they don't lose the sound halfway through. I mean, if they're wearing those earbuds and they fall off during the session and on the floor and you're yelling, John, 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 they might not hear it if it's on the floor. But remember, they're not asleep anyways. Remember, in hypnosis, and this is something that's going to help you with doing just telephone sessions. In hypnosis, people go into a state of hypersensitivity where all your senses are enhanced, a minimum of 15%, a minimum. Matter of fact, years ago, 100 years ago, when I was a drill sergeant in the service, okay, I'm dating myself here, we used hypnosis, or, we had different names for it at the time, but conditioning, to condition the elite soldiers to be able to have super hearing. They could hear things going on in the woods probably better than the deer out there could hear. Okay, because we bring them into a state, into an alpha, theta type brainwave state, so they can have that super hearing. It's interesting. I've done tests with this, and especially in group sessions, where you can be in a room with 15, 20 people, in there, all talking, having conversations, and how you can focus on one person and understand what they're saying, but everything else seems to be blurred. But then if you focus on another person, you can understand him and not the rest. However, if you go into hypnosis, if you went into a hypnotic state, even standing, I've done this before with training, and brought yourself into a, let's say, high alpha, theta brainwave state, you can pretty much make out everybody at the same time. It's a real freaky thing, but I've actually critiqued, several groups doing hypnosis at the same time, was able to stop each one of them, even though they were speaking simultaneously, and give them corrections to their sessions. Again, that's the beauty of being able to use hypnosis to go into the deeper state. So bottom line, what I'm getting at is that they will hear you. Even if they drop their earbuds and there's a whispering, they're going to hear that. They can hear things outside in the building when you're doing a regular session. They'll hear conversations, and you didn't even know there was somebody there. So it's amazing how good their hearing is. How long will the session take? Let them know how long it's going to be. Is it going to be a half-hour session? Now, keep in mind, longer is not better. I know some people keep people in hypnosis for 3/4 of an hour to an hour. A hypnosis session, especially on the phone, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, that's going to be probably an average. 30 minutes is an average to long session, okay? The way we're going to be teaching you, since we're going to be using more of the imagination rather than the relaxation, okay? But 30 minutes is about right for the in hypnosis. Again, it depends a lot on the size of the script, too. You know, if you have a public speaking script, I've seen some public speaking scripts that were 5 pages long. Oh, my word, you know. You need to be a public speaker just to get through the script. But I've seen other scripts, like for nail biting, that were like 2 paragraphs. How much can you say about nail biting? You know, your nails look great. Look how beautiful they are now that you're not biting them. You're done, you know.
You just need to make sure not to have your subconscious go on overload, you know. It's like a 5-year-old child. If you give too much task, then...
Exactly, good point. Since the subconscious mind is like a 5-year-old child, what do you need to say to a 5-year-old to get him to change his behavior? If you're going to give them a speech, read them the Gettysburg Address, you lost them after We the People. You know, they just be able to take so much, even in hypnosis. So keep it simple, what it needs to be done. Don't just, you know, give a speech because you want to hear yourself talk, because that's not what they're paying for. Will the session be recorded? Again, it's up to you. Is there a reason to record it? Some people like to record it so they can give the person the recording so they can listen to later, but if you expect to have your client listen to something, which we're going to be talking about the 30-day process where you want them to listen to a recording for 30 days, they're not going to listen to a half-hour recording. I guarantee it. They might do it for a few days, but it's too long and boring. We're going to show you how you can give them something that's going to take maybe 10 minutes tops. So if you're recording it for that way, you know, might not have to. Now, some sessions you're going to want to record, maybe like a past life regression, so they can hear the story in case they went so deep and they don't remember it. Personally, I don't record hypnosis sessions. I mean, I record these because I need the recording later for you folks. But hypnosis sessions, I don't record. Whether they be, you know, in person or even, you know, live sessions. When I first started doing live sessions 100 years ago, okay, this is, I'm going to date myself again. This is back when they had cassette recorders, okay. I had a cassette recorder by the person, and I recorded all my sessions, and of course I was this green hypnotherapist, and I said, I'm going to keep all these recordings, and after I had about 7 or 8 of these, I said, what am I going to do with all these recordings? And I stopped. But you know, I still kept the recorder there, just without a tape in it, because it kind of kept people straight. You know, if they're planning on giving you a hard time, they see a tape recorder, they kind of behave a little better. So even though they weren't being recorded, they thought they were being recorded. Karen says, how do you record the session? Just like I would record this. Have a microphone. You can record it that way, because see, you're not going to be really recording them so much because it's your voice that they're listening to. Right now I have, actually you can use a quick cam mic on your computer, or you can use a regular mic. They have those little, if you're using just a telephone, oh, what do they call them? They have like telephone mics. It looks like a little suction type thing that sticks to your telephone, and when you talk and they talk, it records it perfectly. Again, if you're going to do that, you know, let the person know that they're going to be recorded. You know, you'll see a lot of, I think Radio Shack has tons of those things, but I used to have them for the telephone. But again, it's just a one-way thing, so all they really want to hear is your voice with the suggestions. So just have any kind of microphone going to your computer or to a digital recorder or whatever that you can, you know, make, either if you want to give it to them as CD or MP3 or something like that. Yeah, I don't like to use the quick cam ones so much, or the camera ones. I actually have a separate mic on my desk, and that's why you probably notice the sound of this is pretty good. So make sure you have a decent mic, not one of those little cheap, you know, $5 Radio Shack ones. Or the microphone, like I said, Raluca's mic, the buds thing for the, well, that's for the iPhone, but I think a lot of phones have that, right?
This would work with any device.
That works with anybody, yeah. So the one that you saw earlier, that's a great recording device too, for it. So that's it. You just record, and a lot of computers actually. This PC, I'm actually doing this with you on a PC tonight. This PC actually has a recording thing on there where I can hit record, and it'll record it right to the hard drive. And when I'm done, I'll have a little recording that I can do whatever with. So most computers have that. What program is it? This is just something that came with the computer. I have I think it's a Dell computer, but most of them have some kind of recording device. If you go into the sound, they might have some kind of, the audio part of the computer, they might have some kind of recording thing. If they don't, like I said, use any kind of just recording device.
We used to use, what was it, Screen Blast Acid?
Yeah, on Mac, Screen Blast Acid works good too.
No, actually, that was designed for the PC. No?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because they use GarageBand.
Mac.
Yeah, I had a thing called Screen Blast Acid. So I think now they just call it Screen Blast, which I think was made by Panasonic. But if you're not sure what to get, my suggestion is go to Best Buy. They have, when I went over there to try to find a nice quality recording thing to make, CDs and all that, oh, they must have showed me about 8 or 9 different ones. So they have a lot of them over there, okay? Depending what you want to do, I mean, some of them will record, this will answer this next question, some will record video and audio, some will record just audio. I like to get the ones, so I'm just going to do a recording, get one that just does the recording audio, because the video, again, is just a lot more things that can go wrong. And if I'm just doing audio, CDs or MP3s, I like to get one that just does that to do a better job for me. Okay.
Yeah,
so
Screen Blast is made by Sony, and it's very easy to use.
Yeah, Luca just looked it up. There's one called Screen Blast. It's easy to use, and it's made by Sony. So you can either do it online, or I'm sure Best Buy still has it. And the next thing the client will say, can I record it? Again, personal preference. If you want them to record it, my suggestion is no way in heck, That's just me. They are not going to record me. That's just, again, my preference. If you want them to record it, fine, but, I just don't feel comfortable with that. I'll record it, or it's not going to get recorded. But like I said, I don't record it either, so it's not recorded. I'll give them a CD afterwards or an MP3 to listen to. Do I need a headset? Well, we spoke about that already. Again, they don't need it. You can actually do it. There's so many different ways, but what do you prefer? In our case, since Reluca is charging so much per session, for them to go out and, what does it cost for one of those things? $30?
Yeah, I think it's around 20 something.
$20. I mean, hey, they're paying for like a $400 session anyway. An extra $20 for a set of buds like that isn't going to bother them at all. So I prefer them getting it, and they're going to have a couple days to go out and do that.
Most people have it today nowadays. They have it.
Yeah. So now, do they have to have it? No. If they're really, pressing you, they don't really need to. But just let them know it's going to be a better session if you use one. Okay. If you don't mind me, here's a question. If you don't mind me asking, why don't you let them record you? No, just because I don't like it. It's just my choice. I don't want them to. No reason. Okay, let's see. What preparations must I make? Okay, this is for the client. What preparations do they need to make? Discuss it with them, what they need to do. Again, get the headset, getting all the different things that they need to do. What else do they need to do before a session? Let the dog out of the room. So make sure they, do like a checklist if you want. Let the dog out of the room. Make sure no one's on the call. Turn off all the stuff. Make sure the TV's off. No timers are going to go off. Get in a comfortable chair where you're supporting your head and neck. Pretty much that's it.
And also let them know to put their phone on either mute or vibrate, because if you do it over the phone, you don't want their phone to start ringing while you're talking to them. That's very important. I'm saying this because of personal experience. I was hearing their phone ringing while I was doing the session, so that's really important.
Reluca has a habit of this. I'm sorry, I got to say this. When Reluca and I first met,
oh boy,
we did a group hypnosis session at Procter & Gamble, okay? It was a smoking, the business thing, corporate thing. They had us come in to do a big group hypnosis session. And here we are ready to do it. And we told everybody, make sure your cell phones are turned off. There's nothing more rude than having the interruption of a cell phone. We started doing it. I got 5 minutes into it, and wouldn't you know, Raluca's phone started to ring. But anyway, just one of those fond memories you remember. So yeah, make sure your phone is off too. Yeah, make sure your phone is off too. Okay, she didn't know I was going to say that. So how do you pay? Procedures, how it works. How do you pay with a credit card? Again, we use PayPal. You can use ClickBank. If you don't have PayPal or ClickBank, I'm sure there's a lot of other ways you can do it. Do a search online. You'll find a lot of programs that are willing to take your money, okay, that will process money for you. And like I say, the PayPal, I drew a blank there. PayPal accepts MasterCard, American Express, Discover, Visa, debit cards, as well as credit cards. So that should do the trick for you.
I just want to mention real quick that you need to have a virtual terminal for you to be able to take the credit cards.
If they're calling it in.
Right.
But not on the, yeah, because if you have virtual terminal, you can actually have them pay right over the telephone, and they give you the numbers, and you can plug it right in. But you're not going to need it if you're just doing it with the button online, though. I was telling them I'm going to send them back to the web page, and they can go to the web page and just pay on the button there.
Yeah, you can do that too. But yeah. I have some people that want to pay it over the phone for some reason, and you have to have that virtual terminal with PayPal. Otherwise, if you're going to use PayPal. Actually,
a really good point for that too is, the old thing, bird in the hand, worth two in the bush. You have them on the phone with you. You're a lot more likely to get them to pay with you right over the phone with their credit card than to ask them to leave, get back on your web page, and then pay over there. They might be a little put out with having to go through that whole process. We have that happen quite a bit over here with people calling in on a constant basis to buy home study courses or products or books. Quite a few of them will call here, and when they're on the phone with me, well, can I just pay with you right over the phone instead of going back to the web page? So we do a lot of business that way. So with the virtual terminal, you'll be able to do that. But check into it. Like I said, ClickBank is a great way to do it as well. With ClickBank, you can do an affiliate program. And how can that help with this? Well, hey, tell a lady if you can get somebody, if you refer me to someone and they come over, you can get a commission off of it, So you can do it, probably figure out some way to do an affiliate program with telephone hypnosis. I hadn't really considered doing it until I just mentioned it now, isn't it? The mastermind concept when you're with other people talking, the ideas that come to you. A new idea was born here tonight, and you folks all heard it. How to reserve the appointment? Well, the best way to reserve the appointment is to go pay with your credit card, and you're reserved, okay? I don't hold any appointments until I see money in the bank. A lot of people will say, make the appointment. Really, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Kind of like in my old sales days, I used to say you could tell the client's lying if his lips are moving, okay? Until you see the money in the bank, don't set apart the appointment. You want to make sure that that they're going to do it. A lot of them say they do it just because they're too embarrassed to say no if they don't want to do it. So once the payment is made, the appointment is reserved. I know Raluca actually emails them a lot to give the confirmation letter. You can do that if you want. You can call them back, whichever you like. But I think a confirmation letter email is good enough. With PayPal, you get an email saying that you have money and so-and-so's paid, so you already know that.
Part of the commitment too. If they pay, they're committed now. They're going to go ahead and do it.
So we told them the procedure. The procedure is either we call them, they call us at the designated time. If we'll try to call twice. If no answer the second time, they're going to be charged. Because remember, within 24 hours, there's no refund. So we're going to try to call them twice. Now, it's up to you whether you want to say you call them or they call you. But if they call you, they might be late. Oh, I was going to call 5 minutes ago, but I was. So if you call them, you're not wasting your time. So you let them know, I'm going to call at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m., Eastern Standard Time, whatever. We're going to try to call you, twice. If there's no answer, you will be charged. So make sure you're there at that time. Cancellations, as we mentioned earlier, if you have a cancellation, again, this is just the way that we work. You could do it however you want, but 24 to 48 hours before the call is normal. Within 24 hours, we don't accept cancellations. So if it's a cancellation before that, fine. It doesn't really. I could reschedule, put something else in that slot, do something important like go fishing, you know. So I can always use that time for something else within 24 hours. But if it's 2 hours before, hey, I'm already ready for this, and I canceled anything I was going to do. So however you want to do the cancellations, but that's been our policy with it. Lost connection. If it's our fault due to our equipment, we try to reconnect. If not, then we'll reschedule. If it's your fault, if it's your equipment, we'll try. Oh, I have here. We'll try to reconnect once. Sometimes we do, sometimes, but however you put it in your web page is what's important. If you're not able to, you'll be charged because, like I said, if their battery is gone dead and they hadn't thought about it, you know, there's not much you can do about it. That's their equipment. Guarantees. If you offer them one, let them know. If not, we don't do it, you know, ourselves. Like we mentioned a little earlier, it's hard to guarantee the human mind. So I think personally, I don't think it's a good idea to get into doing anything like that. So, oops, I don't want to show you that. So, okay, we'll go ahead. Okay, now, prepare for the session. You can begin with any kind of traditional hypnosis session we spoke about before. Now, this is the traditional hypnosis session that we teach in class. For a regular in-office session, there's the induction, a deepener, the session, and the awakening. What's missing from that process? Any of you that are graduates of my course, if you don't get what's missing from that process, you're going to be in trouble. What's missing from that process is one piece for an in-office session: induction, deepener, session, and awakening. What's missing? Go ahead and type it in. Everyone's scared now. No, not the pre-talk. I'm talking about there's 5 steps for a session. There's 5 steps that we teach for the actual session itself. I'll give you a hint. It's after the induction and before the awakening. Testing. Pierre, good. I guess I will send clients to you. Okay. So the testing, the depth test. Normally in an office, it's an induction, a depth test, a deepener, a session, and an awakening. With this kind of, if you, again, you can still do that if you're using a camera, you know, Skype or something like that. But if you're using a telephone, I don't use the depth test because I don't care whether they're analytical or not. I'm going to use the same process, which is using the imagination. So what we do, so there's no depth test. Relaxation is not a prerequisite. I just said this. Instead, use imagination. Any session should end up with the theater of the imagination. Theater of the imagination is basically something where you're saying, imagine yourself as the goal you. Imagine yourself as the goal you. See yourself as being healed. See yourself as being whatever it is. You're going to get to read this because I'm actually going to have a copy of what we use for the theater imagination for you. So now the 5 steps would be induction, deepener, session, theater of the imagination, and awakening. So the theater of the imagination is probably maybe a 5-minute add-on, if that much, that goes on to the session or the suggestions themselves. So it's kind of like having a longer session. So if it's quit smoking, you tell them you're a non-smoker, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then now imagine yourself in a movie theater, watching yourself on the movie, screen. Imagine yourself as the goal you. You're the main actor. So we'll go over that in a minute, but that's the theater of the imagination. And then the awakening. So there's still 5 steps, and the beauty about this is we're going to be talking about, once they leave, this is going to come up into a future one, we're going to be talking about all the different things they can do with the, you're going to give them the 21-day, or excuse me, the 30-day theater of the imagination to listen to. By you having it in the session here, you're going to have had the chance to basically prep them for it. So, question and answer. I know we got quite a few. We had quite a few questions going on during here. So if you have any questions, go ahead. Now's the time to start throwing them out here, and we'll discuss them. Oops. Come on, where's your questions? I know we had a bunch of them there. Let's see. Where do I get the Theater of the Imagination? That's also going to be included. By the way, when you folks signed in initially, when you purchased the telephone hypnosis webinar, you were given a link where you had to use a password and get into like the member page area. In the member page area, okay, matter of fact, where you had that video on the YouTube, how to use YouTube videos and how to make YouTube so much better and all that, that's where these videos are going to show up. And that's also where you're going to see, we're going to have actually a printed copy of the Theater of the Imagination. And you're also going to have the links to all of the additional books that you're going to be getting. What do you do if you have abreaction or something like that? Again, personally, I don't worry about that kind of thing. I don't see where that would even be a problem with most of the sessions we do. If you have a video, you can see what's going on. But again, when you're communicating with somebody, you're pretty much on top of what's going on. Oops, what's this? What should I charge for a second session? Oh, good point. Well, what do you want? Well, rule of thumb, a lot of people charge, and I've seen this in the past, a lot of people charge half as much for the second, third, and fourth session as they do the first session. But my reality has been when you do the second session, even though the first session you did a lot of preliminary and a lot of other things, the second session you're going to ask them how they did, and you're going to still be talking about different things, so it's probably going to take just as long as the first one. So I charge the same amount for every session, because if it's going to be an hour with the pre-talk and everything else, it usually always turns out to be about the same. I made that mistake when I first started, charging half for the second, and then I got done the second session. I said, gee, I was still here for an hour. You know, you can't just tell the guy, hey, get out, you know. So I charge the same for each one. Can I still use the 21 or 30-day change their habits? Can you still use the 21 to 30 days to change their habits? No, what do you mean by that, Gary? Can you still use it in addition to a session? Because that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be adding the, you know, basically we call it the 21 day, but we have you do it for 30 because 21 is a minimum amount of days. But you're going to be doing that anyways with at the end of each session and basically with the follow-up in between, which we'll be talking more about that in an upcoming one. Linda, if you did want to do depth testing for some reason, but only have audio, telephone, not Skype, how have you modified tests that are things like that so that you observe, like the eyelid lock? Well, think of what the suggestibility test is, Linda, okay? It's to find out how suggestible they are. And as you know, the way we teach it, if you look in the manual, when we tell people exactly how they are, you know, analytical people like to say they're going to relax later, but they never do. They keep busy all the time. Non-analytical people like to relax while they're doing things. So what I do rather than testing them, if I'm on the phone, is I ask them a series of questions. If you were getting out of work, you worked really hard all day at 5 o'clock, and you went home, what's the first thing you'd be more likely to do? Go start another job or go sit in a recliner and relax? Again, non-analytical people would relax. Analytical people would do job after job after job. If you went to the beach for the day and you had nothing to do, would you sit around and just enjoy yourself on the beach and take in the sun? Or would you be more comfortable with your modem and a book and you continue to work even though you're at the beach? You see what I mean? So you can ask questions and the answer would pretty much tell you whether they're analytical or not. That's the way I did it. I actually had a series. At one point I had a series of, I think it was like 7 or 10 questions that were like that right on the web page where they would actually check them off. And it was like, you know, 3 or more means this, you know, 7 or more means this. So you can do something like that so you know in advance. You know, what did you score on that test, you know? And that way you'll know how to do it. What if they start to cry during the session? Okay, Rachel. What if they start to cry during the session? Well, Like they would in a regular session, you stop them, say, I noticed, John, that you're crying. Can you tell me why? Most people, when they start crying during a session, it's because they're so relaxed that they've never felt that relaxed before, and the floodgates just kind of open up, okay? So find out what it is. If it's something serious, like I had one lady, or actually a young lady, she just came from a father's funeral, grandfather's funeral, and she says, all I see is my grandfather when I close my eyes, and it makes me cry. And I said, okay, well, today you're here for smoking, so why don't we just, let your grandfather go for a little while until the smoking session's over, and you can think about him more later if you want, okay? And she said, okay. So, you want to find out what it is, because if it's hysterical crying, it could be pretty bad, okay? Again, if they were crying and it was like something for really bad, they're in pain or whatever, stop the session and, have them get help, 911. Sandy, please repeat what you actually charge. Actually, we charge, is it $4.99? $4.99 a session. Again, you don't have to charge the same. You could charge more. You can charge less. I've actually seen people that were charging over $2,000 a session. But you do what you feel comfortable with. Should you use different scripts for each session? Paul, okay. I think it's important to, if you can use, on the telephone, I like to do like a traditional session with the theater of the mind as a follow-up. You can make the session different each time to give them some variety, but the theater of the mind has to be the same every time. Because what you're doing is that's the part where they're using their imagination, and they're imagining themselves as the goal them. And repetition creates habit. Think of anything you've ever done in your life. You had to repeat it the same way in order to do it. The reason you can walk now is because when you first learned how to walk, you fell a bunch of times, but you finally did it. Brushing your teeth, doing math, typing. You kept on doing it repetitively until it became a habit. To quit smoking, which is a habit, they need to create a habit of being a non-smoker. So they need to see themselves in the same way. If they keep on changing it, they're not going to build a habit. Because some people might do smoking for a week, then weight loss for a week, then study habits for a week. Well, they're not going to build a habit. They need to do one until it's done and keep it the same way. Let's see, where are we at? Under what conditions would you stop the session even if it wasn't technically over? Under what condition would I stop the session? Well, the session's going to be over when I'm done reading my scripts. Afterwards, if they kept on small talking, I'd probably excuse myself and stop it that way so I can get on to the next session. But I don't see how that would come up. You'd probably have to explain to me a little bit more. And do you ever give a refund like in the above? The only time I give a refund is if they cancel 24 hours before. After that, if I'm doing the session, there's no refund. I can't see if there's any reason why there would be, really. I have my refund policy clearly stated on the web page, so no, there wouldn't be. How long have you been charging $4.99 per session? Here in my area, a lady is charging $125. 200 miles away, he charges $175. Okay. Again, the price is completely up to you. I mean, even when we went up to $200, I think the average hypnotherapist in the area was charging $85. I think she's had it that way. It's kind of changed a little bit, but actually it was a little bit more. We went down to $500 probably a couple months ago. It was actually higher than that for a while. Let's see. Okay, this is interesting. Karen says, explaining a little further, if they started yelling or screaming at you, would you end the session? Okay. I don't know why they yell and scream at me. Something had to be done wrong for that to happen. But basically, I've never had that happen. If there was anything off the wall like that, it probably would be in a pre-session. In the pre-session, you're going to get an idea what the client's like. If they're you know, if you think they're not going to be controllable, if you think you're going to have a hard time with them, don't schedule them. Again, and that's a nice thing about it being your business. Being your business, you can pick and choose who you want to deal with and who you don't want to deal with. So, yeah, if somebody was screaming at me on the phone, I'd just say, you know, I'm sorry, I'm late for a lobotomy. I've got to go now. You know, and find some excuse. You know, I hear my dead grandmother calling me. Bye. You know, one excuse is good as another. You know, there's no reason for anybody to yell at you. And folks, that's what we have for right now. And we're going to be coming back on at 7 for the last one. And I hope you guys are having a chance to get your dinner between these little breaks. Okay. So we will see you tonight at 7 o'clock for the pre-session. And remember, pre-session is very important, so we'll talk to you then. And until then, you all have a great time. So let's see if we can get this thing going here.